Hey, are you in the market for a Honda Goldwing? Well, after 2 years and about 10,000 miles on this bike, I can give you a unique perspective that might help you in your decision. So let's get on this bike and learn all about it.
Hey channel, welcome back. Yeah, I think as I said, after a couple of years of ownership and creeping up on 10,000 miles of driving now, which includes an 1,800 mile trip to Colorado and back, I have a good idea of how this bike functions and how well it is suited for my style of driving. So let me give you some stats and filter in those stats with some personal experience and my personal opinion. Of course, this is my personal opinion, so take it for what it's worth. Alright channel, let me start by saying this bike is just a joy to ride. It's the best bike I've ever owned. It's the only bike I'll ever need. So that sort of sums it up for me. Let's see if it sounds like something you would be interested in. Of course, if you know anything about the Honda Goldwing, first introduced back in 1975, 1000cc engine, sort of naked bike back then. So this year, 2025, the Honda Goldwing turns 50. And wow, what a legacy. What a milestone. Anyway, so let's talk about the power plant on this amazing bike. It is a 1833cc liquid-cooled, horizontally opposed Unicam 6-cylinder engine with a 73mm bore and stroke and a compression rate of 10.5 to 1. That combination yields 125 horsepower and 125 foot-pounds of torque. And all of that power is matched up with either a 6-speed manual transmission, or in the case of my 2023, a 7-speed dual clutch transmission with optional manual paddle shifters. You can put this thing in manual mode and shift yourself using the paddle shifters right here on the left hand handlebar. It is a throttle by wire system and it is shaft drive. Now you can control the power and the feel of this bike by switching through any of 4 different modes, and the mode switch button is over here on the right hand handlebar. Let's go through those modes real quick. First mode I want to talk about is Tour mode, and so Tour mode is where I keep it most of the time. It's a good marriage of gas mileage and economy and power. Now if you want to step up from the Tour mode, you can select Sport. And let me tell you, when you put this thing in Sport mode, it's like jumping on a different bike altogether. My goodness, this thing comes alive. Sport mode takes advantage of all the power this bike has. It makes a more responsive throttle. It holds the gears longer. My only complaint with Sport mode is it's a little bit jerky. I mean, it really, you twitch that throttle, it'll pull out from underneath you. It's a little bit jerky. So Tour's a little smoother. Let's head down from Tour mode. Next you have Econ mode. Now there's a significant drop off in throttle response in Econ mode, but man, if you're out there on the open highway and you got to make it to the next gas stop, and that's a good bit away, and you're at all concerned about it, throw it in Econ mode. That's where you want to be. And then lastly, there is a rain mode. Now rain mode, of course, dummies it down a little more, just making sure you're making smooth transitions in what might be wet, slippery pavement. But those modes are interchangeable by you at the flip of a switch over here on the right hand handlebar. It also has what I call walk forward, walk back mode. This is super handy if you're in a parking lot and need to back out of a parking space and you're on a slight incline or something. You put this thing in walk back mode and it's basically reverse. It'll walk you back slowly, very slowly. Too slow in my opinion, but it gets you out of tight spots, which is good. And then while you're in that particular drive mode, there's another toggle switch that will walk you forward. Now walking forward, because you're heading forward, is a little bit faster than the walk back mode. But yeah, that comes in quite handy in tight places, or if you, like I said, if you're trying to get out of a parking spot or something. I use it frequently. The bike comes with electronic preload suspension, and there are 4 settings on that. Changes the stiffness and the height a little bit of the bike. You can actually feel it move up and down when you change the suspension on it. Comes in 4 settings, as I said, either single passenger or single passenger with luggage, or double passenger, or double passenger with luggage. And on that 1,800 mile trip to Colorado, I had it on single passenger with luggage. And I want to say it made a difference. Hard to tell because I didn't take the trip on single passenger. So, but anyway, changes the suspension for you preloaded, and you can choose that through the menu options. And then we'll talk about the menu options in a minute. You can't change it while you're driving. You can only change it while you're stationary. Continuing on with the suspension discussion, the front suspension is a double wishbone suspension unique to the Honda Goldwing. Allows that front tire to be closer to the engine, improving the balance. And it front suspension has a 4.3 inch range of travel. The rear suspension is a Pro Arm single side swing arm with ProLink shock, a single shock, and a 4.1 inch range of travel. The seat height in the stock position is 29.3 inches. Now, I came off of ETX where I could put my foot at a stop sign, I could put my feet flat on the ground. It was a lower seating point, so that was a concern of mine. but I've had, after 2 years, no issue with the fact that this seat is slightly higher. When I come to a stop sign, if I have my riding boots on, I can almost flat-foot it. Otherwise, it's, call it 3/4 of a foot on both sides. And I am 5'9", with a 31-32 inch inseam, so 3/4 of a foot. Usually when I come to a stop, I've got my left foot down, leaning slightly, ever so slightly, and then my left foot is fully planted on the ground, and my right foot is on the peg up here. The Honda Goldwing comes with a 3-year transferable, unlimited mileage warranty. And you can buy an extended warranty, which I plan on doing, but I'm going to wait until that 3-year warranty is up. Because you can buy it at any time before your factory warranty expires. This bike has programmed fuel injection, which was great, especially my trip to Colorado, when frequently I was in higher altitudes. You felt absolutely no loss in power, no loss in responsiveness. It does a great job of just measuring that whole thing and making it right. It also has a 50mm throttle body. Let's talk for a minute about the brakes. We've talked about what makes this thing go, or what makes it stop. The front brakes have dual 320mm disc and 6-piston calipers to clamp down on that sucker and slow you down. The rear wheel has a single 316mm disc. Sorry about the wind again. As I said, 316mm disc, and they are linked so that when you apply front brake or back brake, it applies a little bit of braking to the other end. It also has a parking brake, at least the DCT models do. The DCT models, as you know, when they come to a stop, it's effectively in neutral. So they have to give you a manual, which I wish was electronic, but it's not. A manual parking brake that you lift up when you put the bike away, or when you stop and get off the bike. Because if you're on any kind of incline, like I said, it's in neutral, so it will roll. The front tire is a 130/70 wrapped around an 18-inch cast aluminum wheel. The rear tire is a 200/55 wrapped around a 16-inch wheel. Front forks on this bike, wishbone suspension, as I said, not really forks. Has a 30.5 degree rake with a trail of 4.3 inches. As I said, that front wishbone suspension allows that front tire to be closer to the bike for better handling. The bike has a wheelbase of 66.9 inches and a curb weight north of 800 pounds. But much of that weight, as I said, is low slung. The engine, horizontally opposed, sits low on the bike, which gives this bike a much lighter feel than the bike actually is. The bike has a fuel capacity of 5.5 gallons. A few folks have voiced concern about that. It's a relatively small gas tank, but you know, I was getting 200, 250 miles easily on a tank of gas on that trip to Colorado, and never found that tank size to be a problem, to be honest with you. The trunk on this bike has 61 liters of room in there, and if you count all the luggage, you got about 121 liters of storage on this bike. Now that changed in 2021. Prior to that, that trunk was smaller, but the trunk these days, 61 liters, it'll comfortably hold 2 helmets. This bike comes with cruise control. It comes with heated grips, which get mighty hot. 5 different settings on the heated grips, and it gets mighty hot. Also comes with a heated seat. Same 5 settings on the heated seat, both for the driver and the passenger backrest. Keeps the passenger nice and toasty, and I gotta tell you, even with this aftermarket Ultimate seat that I put on here, that heated seat is wonderful. Alright, let's talk about the communications for a minute. I'm talking to you via Bluetooth between my helmet and my camera. That has nothing to do with the bike. But I also have my Waze playing on this bike. I don't use the Honda navigation, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I use my Waze, and to get Waze to come up, I have to have a connection of my helmet to the bike. So you pair the helmet to the bike. And then I also pair my phone to the bike, but not through the helmet. Directly to the bike through a wireless Apple CarPlay dongle that sits in the glove box. That is the communication. You can also pair a passenger headset to the bike, but I gotta tell you, I've never done that and I don't know what it provides. But I know the option is there. The bike has a series of menus on this digital screen here. It's got two analog dials, a speedometer and a tachometer, and in between it a digital screen with a very robust menu system. When the bike is stationary, you can access that menu system through buttons on the center console, and there's a turn dial up here and an enter button on that console. But if the bike is moving at all, it disables that console access because you don't want to be reaching down. You want to keep your hands on the handlebars. Over on the left handlebar there is a very similar set of switches where you can toggle through the various menu settings just with your thumb on the left handlebar. Alright, so let's go through some of these switches that are on the handlebars. On the left, as I said, you navigate through the menus. You got a rocker switch, up, right, up, down, left, right. and an enter button in the middle of it. And surrounding that rocker switch, you've got a home button that takes you back to the home menu. You've got a back button that takes you back. You've got a speak button that you press when you want to talk to the bike, make a phone call, talk to Siri, whatever. If you're going to do talking to electronics, you hit the talk button. And then the horn button. And I got to tell you, for a motorcycle, yeah, it's got a car horn. Plenty loud enough. Really love that feature. Love the horn on this bike. You have a volume switch on the left handlebar as well to increase or decrease your music or your volume coming through the speakers on the bike. It's got some great speakers. I really never listen to music, so I have very rarely used the speakers on this bike, but when I have, they're more than adequate. You can also, this bike has a retractable windshield. You can raise it up, blocking the wind, and it has, gosh, that's got to be 6 or 7 inches of travel. And then you can lower it down. And the stock windshield's about 20 inches top to bottom. Plenty of coverage. I have replaced the stock windshield, which, by the way, I have it for sale if anybody would like to buy a cheap stock windshield. I have replaced it with the F4 Customs windshield, which has a proprietary coating on it and a little lip at the top, which kind of throws that stream of air over your head a little bit more. And then you've got your high beam, low beam over here and on the left handlebar, and you've got your paddle shifters. You want to move up or down in gears. There's one in the front, one in the back. You got your turn signals. You got a button for source for audio. That toggles between your phone, AM, FM, Sirius satellite radio, that sort of thing. And then you've got that walk forward, walk back engagement gear button. Puts it in that mode, walk forward, walk back, all on this left handlebar. Now let's move over to the right handlebar. On the right handlebar you have neutral and drive and manual mode in sort of a rocker switch format. You have your hazard lights, you have your cruise control engage, resume and set buttons. You have the kill switch on top. You have the select your driving mode. Remember we talked about Tour, Sport, Econ, and Rain. You can select it through a trigger on the back of the right handlebar here. And then of course you have your front brake. The menu screen, the digital menu screen in between the two analog ones is bright, easy to read, colorful. The navigation that comes with the bike is Honda's stock navigation. I gotta say I'm not a fan of it. There are a few people out there that like the stock Honda navigation, but I think those are the same people that like that 2025 gold color scheme of the 2020 the 50th anniversary Honda Goldwing. Alright channel, well that pretty much wraps up my review of this Honda Goldwing. So if you're thinking about buying a Honda Goldwing, you're just looking into everything about it, I hope this video went a little bit of the way to help you with that decision. As I said at the beginning of this video, I love this bike. It handled so well on that trip to Colorado. Total comfort, total control, wet, dry, windy. I mean, this bike did it all. I love this bike. I'll never need another bike. I am so glad I made, a couple of years ago, this purchase decision. So if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you're considering buying, I encourage you to run out to DFW Honda for a great selection there. If you're not in Texas and you're anywhere near Tennessee, head out to Tennessee on March 29th. be out there along with Mac and a few others. You can get a Cruiseman discount on a 2025 Goldwing if you buy on that day. Southern Honda Power Sports or Motorsports in Tennessee. I'll put a link, or I'll put on screen the name. Sorry, I don't exactly remember the name. Anyway, go out there for a great deal if you're ready to pull the trigger. But thank you for joining me on this very windy start of spring day. First day of spring was a couple days ago. And I hope you enjoyed this little ride. By the way, as a last side note, I am considering selling my GoPro, which will be my last GoPro, moving into the Ace Pro market. I already have one, likely going to get another. But I'm considering selling my GoPro, which obviously, since it's my last GoPro, that purchase will come with everything I have, every GoPro connection. I also am controlling this GoPro on the back of my, hello guys, on the back of my camera on the back of my bike right now via GoPro remote. That too will be included in this purchase. So if you are at all interested in buying a GoPro Hero 12, that's what I'm recording this on. It's not the latest, but still does a great job. And getting a lot of peripherals along with it. Reach out to me by email or in the comments below. We'll see if we can't make something happen. Long video today, guys, but there's a lot to cover on this magnificent machine, and I appreciate you sticking with me. Like and share this. And if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, and like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button. It's free of charge. You don't feel like watching one week, you can just skip right by it. But don't miss out. Okay guys, I'll talk to you again next week. Until then, ride safe and God bless.